Hello everyone. For this video, I'm going to show you the 3 tips in basic of spreadsheets and also 3 tips in advance of spreadsheets. So before that, let me give you a brief information about spreadsheets. So here is the spreadsheet. It is a computerized table labeled with letters and also a horizontal rows labeled with numbers. So this is what we call a column and these are what we call the rows. So if you put it here in a particular table, that is called cell. Like for example, I put the arrow here and this cell is called C5. It is in column C and in row 5. Let's move on to the 3 tips in basic of spreadsheets. So the first tip that we're gonna use is the formatting data. I have here datas and I want to complete the foods for Kelsey's party. Here is my title. I have here different foods, their prices, and also their quantity. So if you have a text that is not totally fit in the column, like this one, apple juice, it's not totally fit in this column. So go on the line between the column where the text placed in and drag it to the right to make it wider. So and you can also change the fonts of this text. I will change the title. You can choose any font you want. I will choose the Arial Black. And also this, you can change. You can make it bold or italic. And if your data is related to currency, you can put a symbol in these columns. So let's highlight and then right click and go to the format cells. And you can see here the category where you can go on the currency. So here, I choose the symbol peso because I'm here in the Philippines. So click OK and here are the currency.
The next tip is the creating formula. By getting the total of a data, we need to add a column and for the total cell, let's type total. And if you want to compute these data, you can add the equal sign and then click the column where you want to compute and add the asterisk sign for the multiply sign and also click the another cell for the computation and then enter. This is the total data of the hot dog. So, but what if we have a lots of data or like for example I had hundreds of data to compute, but if we do this way where it takes a long time or it will consume a long time. So here we have also another way on how to compute a data in a simplest way. So like what we did before, put a equal sign and then click the column and add the asterisk and also click the another column and we got the same total. So if you want to get the rest of this data, if you want to get the total, let's go on the right corner, and if you see a tiny box, move your arrow, and if you see a small cross, drag it down, and then here is the total data. It is simplest and easiest than before, and this is the better way if you have to compute a lots of data. And let's go on to the last tips in this basic of spreadsheets, which is the graphs or chart information. And if you want to have if you want to show your data in a clear and better presentation, you can also use a chart or graphs. We can use this by highlighting all the data you want to put in the chart, or selecting the data you put in the chart and go on the insert and click on the recommended charts. We have these recommended charts, and we have also all charts. You can choose any charts you want on your data. We have here the column, the line, the pie, the bar, but I will be using the column chart. Click the OK. Here you can see this, and you can also change the format or the title of the chart. So I will type here my title, which is the Foods for Kelsey's Party. You can also change the format, go to home, bold it, change any fonts you want. I will be using this one. And you can also put this chart in any direction you want in the Excel. Like for me, I want to put it here on the right side, so to make it clearer. And let's go on to the advanced spreadsheets. So in advanced of spreadsheets, we have also 3 tips to consider. The first one that we're going to use is the average. This is the first tip that we're going to use. Let's say, for example, we have numbers 45, 78, 90, 89, 65, 83, 47, 95, 81, and 80. So these are the group of numbers that we're gonna get the average. So if we get the average of this, let's type the equal sign and then the average, and then put a parenthesis, and then highlight the column or the average you want to compute, and then put a close parenthesis and then enter. And this, we have a 75.3 average. So 75.3 average. So that's the simplest way in which you can use the average function in Excel. So let's say, for example also, you want to average two numbers. The same way, we type the equal sign and then average. Put a parenthesis, like for example, the number that you are going to compute or to average is 100, and then comma, and then 400, and then close parenthesis and the equal sign. We have the average of 250. Let's say, for example, you also want to average a three numbers. The same way, we put a equal sign and then type average, put a parenthesis, and then, like for example, you have the number 90, 80, and 75, close parenthesis, and then enter. You have an average of 81.666. That is how we use the average function in Excel. Next, let's go on to the second tip in advance of spreadsheets, which is the count function. So we're gonna use the count function. Count function. So how can we use the count function? So let's say for example, we have here a data, and this is a apple, orange, banana, grapes, lemon, cherry, melon, we have the mango, and the avocado, and then the kiwi. So how can we use the count function? Count function. As we read here, count function is used to count the number of cells in a range that contain numbers. So if we count the range of functions or the range of cells, we're gonna put also a equal sign and then type the count, put a parenthesis, and then highlight all the range functions you want to count, and then put a parenthesis and then enter. So we have, all in all, we have 10 cells contains of numbers. But what if let's try to count the data without a number. So let's add also a equal sign and then type the count, put a parenthesis, and then highlight or select all the data, and then the parenthesis, and you get 0 because the count function is not applicable in the data or in the cell that contains numbers. And for the last tips in the advance of spreadsheets, let's use the tip which is the drop down function. Let's number 3, the drop down list. Yeah. So how can we use the drop down list? So I will be using the same data like I used before in the count function. So The reason why this is useful is just because, let's say, if you don't wanna type information, you just wanna fold the name in the drop down list, you can do that. So like for example, we have here, and then you wanna make a drop down list, and then let's go on data and go on the data validation, and you can see the validation criteria, and then click and then choose the list instead of choosing allow value, and click here, and you can put the names here, but you can also tap this button and then select all the data or names you want to drop down list. So and then enter, and then okay. So here, if you can see here, here is the drop down list. And now we have the drop down list, and this is the simplest way on how to click a data, on how to choose a or get a names of data. And that's all for this video, and hope you like it, and especially hope you learned something. Thank you.
No, I'm really just